You know the drill, it's time for more fun. Hey everyone, Cristin here, and if you have completed this part of your first January tabletop cuties, then it's time to move on. So today is going to be the biggest part. We get to do the triangles. That will be really fun. It is big because they're so large that we can really only do one in a hooping. If you have a bigger hoop than I do, then maybe you can do more. I'm not sure. But I am going to do each one separately, so 4 hoopings, and I'm going to use my 9x14 hoop. I believe I have to check it in software to make sure. But let's go over what we need for today. So like I said, we're going to do the triangles, and there's not too much to them, but they're just large. That's the thing. They're large. All right, so have you been using these? They're so great. Don't you love them? Oh my gosh, they make it so easy. I even have a pack for a project I haven't completed yet. And so we needed extra during Cup of Cheer. And so I bought a second pack. And so now I have extras for other projects. So that worked out really well. They are the dry erase packets. And there's a link in the video. I'll put it up there. I think that's where it'll go. It's an Amazon affiliate link, so I get a little kickback if you purchase them from my link. All right, so we are going to use the white on white tonal snowflake fabric. I'm going to re-iron mine. The dry erase packets weren't quite big enough for these huge ones. These are big, oh my goodness. So I will re-iron this. You do want to back these with fusible stabilizer. It's such a large piece of fabric. You would not want to get this far along and then get puckering. So it's the white on white with snowflakes. There, I think you can see them a little bit. Very pretty, and with all those snowflakes. So we're going to start. My dogs are here now. So anyway, sorry. So on our main fabric, we are going to start with this at 13 by 13. And we'll have 2 of them, 2 pieces of 13 by 13 backed with fusible stabilizer, and it's the tonal snowflakes. So once you have that, and we'll do this, I'll share a photo as we get going on it. We're going to subcut this. So we're going to cut it diagonally and have 2 of these because we need 4 triangle pieces, right? So we are going to line it up and use a rotary cutter and all of that, but we're going to have 2 from each piece. We'll have 2 triangle pieces, so a total of 4. And like I said, we'll subcut these, but we will start with them at 13 by 13, and I'll go over the cutting a little bit further down the line. All right, and then we have, for our hat fabric, we have the red, silky solid, simple red, and that's for the hat on the snowman. All right, 4 pieces, and these are 2.5 by 2.5, 4 pieces. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, red, simple. Okay, and then for the snowman, we have that really pretty glitter sheet that came in our fabric kit from my girlfriend's quilt shop. So it is the white glitter vinyl, and don't forget that whenever you use the glitter vinyl, you want to take off that topping. There is a sticky topping on the top, and you don't want to stitch over that. So on each piece, you would just take the topping off right before you're going to stitch on it. Or you can do it beforehand, it doesn't really matter. And we will iron this. I'll go over that just to adhere it or press it, whatever, so that it will lay flat. All right, and those are the only pieces. So we have our background fabric, our hat applique fabric, and that white glitter vinyl. Sorry, I'm kicking my my light. All right, and then we are going to have batting. So 4 pieces of batting, 1 for each of those triangles. And the batting is going to be 7 1/4 by 13 1/2. And you want 4 pieces, 7 1/4 by 13 1/2. All right, and then we are going to use the Quilting Design Triangle Snowman. Remember, I was telling you when we did the Lazy Daisy that they're all grouped in one folder on the CD. So it's all Katie Q150, and we're going to look for the one that's called the Triangle Snowman, and that's what we'll use for our quilting. There's a few different sizes. I'm going to use the 9x14 like I mentioned in that earlier video, and the 8x12 is really the exact same thing. It just has the clips, the little edges on each of the triangles will not be there, and that's it. So if you have an 8x12 hoop, you would use that. If you have a 9x14 hoop, I'm pretty sure I have to pull it up on software when we get there. But there's one other thing is we need to turn the snowman. So the snowman comes as its own separate item, and when we put it on our quilting for the triangle, we're going to rotate it. And the snowman comes with these little guides on it. I don't know if you can see that. This is on page 26. The snowman has these little guides, and so we'll use that to line up with our batting, probably. I'm not sure. I will look at it, but it's either going to be the batting or the basting stitch that we will line it up with, and we'll just turn it to that direction. So very easy. You could do that on your machine if you want. I'm going to use software. I use Embroidery Essentials, and that just makes life easier in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This will be 4 hoopings for our triangles, and it's really the biggest part of our project, but that will be really fun to start seeing it really come together. And then, oh my gosh, all we have left is the corner blocks, the outer borders, and the backing and the binding. We're like pretty much halfway done after today. Pretty fun. Hey everyone, I'm at my computer now, and I'm going to open up Embroidery Essentials and just show you how to flip that snowman. So I am on my 9x14 hoop. That should be perfect, I think. You can tell down here what hoop size that you're on. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the quilting design. So let's see, right there. All right, and we are looking for the Triangle Snowman. Centers and Triangles, January. All right, and so for the 5x7, there's a part 1 and a part 2 and a part 3. And for the 8x12, see how I was telling you it just doesn't have the full edge of the design right there. That's not a big deal. I'm going to use this bigger one, the 9x14. And the actual design, so when you click on it, look at it's 6 3/4 by 13 inches. So it easily fits in my 9x14 hoop. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're not merging, we're not changing colors, doing anything, because I'm going to do 4 different hoopings. I just want to bring in that snowman to show you what we need to do to the snowman. So if we go up here, this is already centered. We want to make sure it's centered. You can tell from the black squares in all the edges here. All right, and then go to merge stitch file, and then we're going to look for the, let's see, Cuties, not the bundle. Okay, so in the embroidery files right here, I use Pez for my machine, and we're looking for the snowman. He's right there, 5x7 up to Snow Good. Double click on that, and notice it goes to the center, but we need to flip him. We need to turn him. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on him. Make sure that you only have the snowman. You can tell because the quilting won't be highlighted over here. We just want to have the snowman. And then I'm going to start by just clicking this left rotate button, and that doesn't quite do it. You can tell. So see, this keeps it in the center, but we want to line it up with these lines here. So you can see this is the batting placement line right here, placement and tack down, and then this is that basting stitch. This is the placement and basting of our main fabric, and that's what we want to line it up with. So all we're going to do is click anywhere on it and move it up to where you can see that it lines up. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make sure after I get it, but you're basically just going for that orange line here. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in over here. So I'm just clicking on this little crosshair here and getting it over to the part I want to zoom in on, and then I can use the scroll button on my mouse to be able to zoom in. So if I click again on that snowman, anywhere on the snowman, make sure it's just the snowman, and then you can see by moving it just a bit, let's see if we zoom out, and then we can zoom in over here, move it over here. Yep, so see how it's right on that, it's basically the basting stitch line. All right, and then you can see it down here as well. You're just lining it up with that basting stitch line. That's like the easiest thing ever. Kimberbell put in these placement lines for us to be able to easily see it. So I'm going to go back up to the H button, and you can see that we're still on this center line here, but we've got it placed over our basting stitch. And when I say basting stitch, it's the furthest point. So this inner one is the batting, and this outer one is the basting stitch. All right. So that's all we're doing. We're just moving it to line up those placement lines. So right here and right here and right here, those brown or black lines, and we're lining it up with the basting stitch right there. All right, so that was super easy. We don't need to make any other changes. We're not joining anything, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Utility, Send to Solaris XP1. Someone asked me the other day if this sending to the machine works with other machines, other brands of machines, and I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. You would need to ask your machine shop if your machine works with Wi-Fi, and I don't know the answer. I've only had Brother machines myself. I know Brother and Baby Lock work exactly the same. They're basically the same machine. So I do know a little bit about both of them, and I really don't know about other machines. But it does say here, sent to Solaris and XP1, and the Solaris is the Baby Lock version, and XP1 is the Brother version. So it might only be those two brands. I don't know. But you could ask your machine shop, or even send a message to Embrilliance to ask them, and share that information. If you get a chance to find out that the answer to that, share so that we all know. All right, so that is sent to my machine. You saw the little pop-up that says file sent. So I'm all ready to get started on this first one. Like I said, if you're not using software, you could do this on your machine. You would just bring in your quilting design and then click an add button if you have an add button on your machine to add in the snowman, and then an edit button to be able to rotate him. You saw how easy it is on software, super duper easy, and you can zoom in and see if you've got it exactly right. And so I prefer software. I think that's the easiest way to go, but everybody does things differently, and you do you. You know, I like to say that. You do you. All right, I'm going to get started on playtime. Hey everyone, so I want to point out one thing. Somebody sent me a message and said that a friend of hers did these triangle blocks and they came out pretty badly. They did not connect, they weren't long enough, quite a few mistakes. And so I just want to point out that if you follow the tutorial step by step, you're not going to have that problem. I had no problems and mine finished super well. I'm very, very happy with it. No problems at all. And I think the reason is that she probably cut it incorrectly. That's my guess. So when we finish this, if you quilted it, then it's a little different. If we quilt in the hoop, then we get to bypass a couple of steps. We don't have to do that whole folding thing at the beginning and lining it up right. We don't have to do any of that when we're quilting in the hoop. It was so easy. So, but when you finish it, parts of it, like when you'll see at the end, there's this triangle part and it has like these edges where it's not fully triangle. All right, there's like these little edges and you could very easily mistakenly cut those. And so I point out in the video not to do that and to make sure that you're getting the full triangle effect and how to do that. So I just want to point that out because you don't want to get this far into it and then make a mistake in cutting it and it won't fit together right in the whole bit. So on page 27, there's trimming instructions and it shows, hopefully you can see this, there we go. So see how it says to make sure that you're still getting those corners, okay? And I show it in my tutorial as well. So I just want to make sure to point that out. If you jump ahead from the tutorials, you got to really, really read the directions very carefully and hope for the best, of course. But the tutorials, I take you step by step through and you shouldn't have any problems at all. I had take tons of pictures and put little wording on each of the pictures telling you information that will help. But mine so far is coming out great. No problems at all. It all fit together great. And no problems so far. So I just want to make sure that you pay close attention on this one. Please pay very close attention to the photos here for the cutting. Notice that in your stitching, there's a little stop point, but we are going to cut all the way through. So we are trimming at extending the lines until they meet at the corners of the triangle. So basically each of the 3 sides cut all the way through. Don't stop at the points of the stitching. And my shirt today is a cute little dog with a wreath. I think it's Baby K's applique. I'm not absolutely sure about that though. I will look it up and see if I remember where I got it. And I added the wording Archer. This was years ago because now I have 2 dogs. I have Archer and Lily, so it's kind of mean, but I made this probably 5 years ago, but it's a really cute shirt. And the best part is that the shirt is from Amazon. You've seen me wear them. I have it in like tons of different colors. It's a great shirt to embroider on, so I will add a link to the shirt and the design. And you know, I'm eating sugar. It's December. We're supposed to eat sugar in December, right? I am. I don't care. But I haven't had any yet today. I had raspberries and blackberries. They were super good. But last night, hubby and I went to the grocery store and we got a caramel apple that I've never seen before. It was a caramel apple dipped in all this sugar, and it was red and it was beautiful. And it like immediately start to think of those candy apples, which personally I'm not a fan of. But it said it was a caramel apple, and it was. So it had a layer of caramel, not quite enough caramel in my opinion, but a layer of caramel and then just all this red sugar. And it was the funniest thing, like we had to get it because it was so pretty, and it actually turned out to be really good. Maybe a little too much sugar, but it was really good. We both really enjoyed it. So it's gone. But I will add a picture so that you can see this really cool caramel apple. It was pretty fun.